I don't know how many people who might come across my videos or not, how many people in society in general, American society in particular, have experienced the dishonesty and direct bigotry of the Israeli American community, to whom we always hop to defense because it's big money and big votes. I'm reminded of a Testament of Hope by Martin Luther King's collection of his speeches. And in one Jewish community meeting, a voice said, "Stand up." So he stood up, and the same voice said, "Sit down." He said firmly, "I prefer to stay standing." This kind of gesture of attempts to subordinate and humiliate other people is well known to me. I grew up in a Jewish Holocaust survivor community. The tactical dimension of the Jewish community's belligerence is to gloss over as anti Semitic, calling attention to anything they do wrong. A fairly good example is that my name was absolutely annihilated by a man named John Schulman, who his gang chased me into homelessness for 2 years, got me tortured in Seattle, and a woman was knife attacked by the feeding frenzy that his gang had instigated and murdered because she was innocent and represented a penny line, they said. And it turned out he was arrested on an $8 million museum heist. Came out in the Smithsonian, nobody apologized to me. They went right on roller coastering the crazed humiliation and terror that he had inflicted on my name. In fact, Seattle Clubhouse see themselves as a noble cause functioning as his extortion agency. And of course, they always have somebody who's Jewish, who's sympathetic, saying, "What's the matter? Don't you like Jewish people?" Another example is a woman named Gay Ill Carolyn Burston, which is a homophone. Gay illness, Christmas caroling bombs Burston for Christian Armageddonism. And she was the Israeli American who I have explained for many years, wrote a script in the murder of Martin Luther King and was behind the chemical warfare and nerve agent that was used on me. She spelled squirrel Squrl, which removes the IRE. They used to call me Jimmy Queerbait. Jimmy Creary is what they changed my name to, and they would come into my house and rob me and hire men to kidnap and torture me and use me, they claim, in a right to a lifelong experiment. All because Robert Fripp said that he distrusted me over a girl I dated for 2 years and left a virgin. He said that's bound to hurt too much. Little Jimmy Queerbait. So when I hear Amy Global Bazaar come and say she knows you to people in Iowa, I'm reminded of what that means on the deeper level of Israeli scorn for America. Israelis' observation that for Americans, the death of the Holocaust in Germany was a convenience. They didn't care if that wasn't true. They said to themselves it was a convenience to America. That's what global Zoe means when she says she knows you. She knows from experience that we would rather not hear when we help Israel blow up Yemeni school buses. Today, Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi darkened my Twitter doors with the claim that the Ottoman Empire was to blame for the Armenian Holocaust. Obviously, the Armenian Holocaust was terrible and set an ugly precedent for Adolf Hitler's adventures. But the Ottoman Empire, do consider the fact that it was around for centuries. Solomon the Magnificent was one of the more liberal leaders in human history. Nothing like that happened under his reign. This is an attempt to unify through stupidity and ignorance a pro-Israeli lobby that salutes the Star of David almost like the national anthem, and from which you are not allowed to break because of the historic Negro Jewish alliance. Now, what that used to be was that they would go out and beat up Puerto Ricans together. And of course, in the city of Pittsburgh, after Roberto Clemente was killed by this nutter gang who wrote these letters from Israel, they took his name, snatched it, and gave it to somebody who was playing eugenic pussy ball that was clogged to Gail Burstyn, an ally of Gail Burstyn named Rosa Clemente. Now, this is their green network, and Amy Globalzar knows you. She knows you would rather put to sleep the grandson of an editor for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the son of senior faculty who was battered and brain damaged as a child and in a state of horror while they dragged him through glass. They brag about it. A Jewish kid named Saul Brecker gets up in front of anybody who will listen and gurgles with laughter about how they dragged me through glass. And that was one of the nicer things they did to me. So what is this about? What is this about that we have to kneel and scrape before Israelis who use our names for a Holocaust, who bomb Yemeni school buses? You know what they used to call me? Yemeni. Yemeni, Jiminy Cricket. Yemeni, Yemeni, that's what they would say. They poisoned me in the mouth. See how dark my teeth are? Right before the COVID bomb went off. What's going on? What do you know about me, Globalzar? I never petitioned you. What's going on that you get up and defame all of these Islamic people? You say, oh, well, we're protecting you from the Islamic people. You may be because you have created a stereotype of me as a liberal American white, and that kind of stereotype feeds the frenzies that you stoke up by bombing innocent people. But it still doesn't explain to me what you think you know about me. What you know about me is I was intelligent, sensitive, an innocent little kid, someone who you could torture, taunt, and abuse and get away with robbing through a network of people, law firm type people, by saying that I had it coming because Robert Fripp decided that leaving a girl still a virgin after 2 years is suspicious because it would hurt too much. I told my father that story. He said that must have hurt. I told somebody in Iowa that story. It must have hurt. What's wrong with my being hurt by something that everybody can see must have hurt? It did hurt. But you worked with John Schulman to slander me about it, to torture me about it, to cover for an implant of a neural agent that you put into my cycle because you wanted to humiliate America through me and get them to applaud like one of the motherfucking Zappas. And he's the one who made it like anti-Semitic smears are just free speech. I'm not smearing people for being Jewish. I'm saying keep the fuck away from me until you can police your own society and stop blaming me for things that you fucking do.